somewhere, at some time, some kind of an imaginary, wish-fulfilling tree existed. This is a true story, by the way. On one of its branches there appeared a fruit, which is this universe. This fruit was unique and completely different from all other fruits. Like worms within this fruit dwelt all types of beings, gods, demons, etc. It contained the earth as well as the heaven and the netherworlds. It was a big fruit. It was enormous in size because it was a manifestation of the infinite consciousness, and it was attractive because it contained in itself the infinite potentialities of diverse experiences. We like new experiences, don't we? We like diversity. When something is different, it interests us. If something moves, it interests us. And it's all going on in this fruit. It was radiant with intelligence, and in its core was the egosense. In it were all kinds of beings, from the dullest and the ignorant to the one that was closest to enlightenment. I suppose the enlightened ones would be elsewhere. They'd have left the fruit behind. Indra, the king of the gods, was also in that fruit. Once when the Lord Vishnu and others had retired, this Indra was assailed by powerful demons. Pursued by these demons, Indra ran in the 10 directions. He was eventually overcome by the demons. So sometimes the gods are not victorious and the demons win. When the attention of the demons was distracted for a moment, Indra, taking advantage of the situation, assumed a subtle and minute form by abandoning the notion that he was huge and by entertaining the notion that he was subtle and minute, and entered into a subatomic particle. In it he found rest and peace. He forgot the war with the demons. In it he visualized a palace for himself, then a city, then a whole nation, with other cities and forests, and then he saw in it the whole world, an entire universe with heaven and hell. He thought that he was Indra, the king of heaven. To him was born a son whom he named Kunda. After some time, this Indra abandoned his body and attained nirvana, like a lamp without fuel, which is what nirvana means apparently. Kunda became Indra and ruled the 3 worlds. He too was blessed with a son equal in valour and radiance. Thus his progeny multiplied, and even today one of his descendants rules the heavens. Thus in that subatomic particle there are many such kings ruling their own kingdoms. Vasishta continued. In that family was born one who became the ruler of heaven, but who was determined to put an end to the cycle of birth and death. He attained wisdom from the instructions of the preceptor of the gods, Brhaspati. We've met him on a couple of occasions. And he engaged himself in the performance of appropriate actions in situations which arose without his seeking. Thus he performed religious rites and even fought with the demons. So he heard the teachings of self-inquiry, which reveal the nature of the self, but you carry on with your duties as appropriate. In his mind there arose a wish: I should perceive the reality concerning Brahman, the Absolute. He entered into deep meditation. I suppose there must be times when it is quite good to withdraw. It's one thing saying you carry on with your normal behaviour, or you carry on with whatever is appropriate to the situation. But self-realisation can become a memory, a feeling, something that we touch base with rather than with self-realisation itself. Sometimes a very subtle tone, a very subtle feeling can come in, or a memory even, and we touch base with that. The self-realisation is no longer fresh, and in fact we're no longer established in it, although we might actually believe we're established in it. So this is the ego mind still operating at a very subtle level. And it's a very tricky and perhaps even dangerous situation when you have the ego masquerading as the spiritual. You have the ego masquerading as spiritual truth. And you often find this in spiritual groups with gurus and so on. The guru might have one time have had a true realization, but what's happened is a whole lifestyle has been built up around that. It's become an egoistic point of reference, it's become a memory. And perhaps the truth that moment of realization was expressed by has become a piece of dogma. It's become a memory. It's become notional. And everything that's going on in that spiritual group has got absolutely nothing to do with realization of the truth. It's all to do with egos. It's all to do with notions. And yet the feeling is to do with the truth. So there's possibly times just to drop it all and to take a very clear and honest look at what is really going on. He entered into deep meditation. He was at peace within himself, remaining in seclusion. There he saw the Supreme Self, or Brahman, omnipotent, all-pervasive all, who is everything, everywhere at all times, to whom all feet and hands belong. It's only Brahman that does anything. That Brahman whose eyes and heads and faces are everything, free from the senses, yet the very essence of all the senses. Totally free, unattached, though upholding everything, simultaneously free from and endowed with all the qualities, within and without all creatures, moving and non-moving. That Brahman who is far and near, yet unknown because of his extreme subtlety. He is the sun and the moon and the earth element everywhere, the reality in the mountain and ocean, the very essence of all. That Brahman is of the nature of this creation and world, yet the emancipated self, the primordial consciousness. Though he is the all, he is yet devoid of all these things. Brahman is often described as the substratum, like water is the substratum of the waves, but it's not really a substratum. Whatever we can say about Brahman, we can usually say the opposite as well. He, Indra, saw Brahman in the pot, cloth, tree, monkey, man, sky, mountain, water, fire and air, manifesting differently and functioning variously. He realized that that is the reality in this world appearance. So all these things didn't disappear. We often hear how the world appearance disappears. It doesn't. It's our belief in the reality of it that disappears. The stream of experiencing continues, always. Thus, contemplating Brahman with his own pure and purified consciousness, this Indra became immersed in meditation. Realizing that Brahman was a celestial sovereignty in Indra, he ruled the universe.